Hey, badass business owners, welcome to another episode of the Local Small Business Coach Podcast, where each episode we work on getting you to $100,000 in take-home pay. So if you're all ready to boost your profits, increase your sales, improve your processes, and develop stronger teams so you can stop living job to job, then let's dive in. Hey, badass business owners, it's Thursday, so that means it is Know Your Numbers Day, where we take an episode and we actually dive into some numbers to help show you how easy it is and why you want to do it. So today, I want to kind of go finish a theme that I started last week where we were talking about employees and can you hire employees? Except for this week, what I want to talk about is when you already have employees and how the cost of keeping poor performers are actually hurting you in your business and how you can put some numbers to it to maybe help motivate you. Because sometimes when we have poor performing employees, what happens is we just don't want to deal with it. And we find it easier. It's like, oh, I don't want to go out and hire someone new, or I don't want to deal with this, or the market's tight and I can't find anybody. We make up all these excuses to hold on to poor performing employees. But what if you actually took and did some little calculations to figure out how much these poor performers are actually hurting you? What if you were to find out how much it actually is hurting your bottom line and how much is actually going into your pockets, or how much profitability is being lost that you could use to expand the business, to grow the business? So we're going to take a look at doing that. We're going to do some fictional numbers on a fictional business, and this way you can kind of play with the numbers for your particular business. Now, if you've listened to the show and you've listened to past episodes, I've talked about the fact that most employees, the only true employee that gives you 100% every single time, running and gunning and everything else, is usually you. No one loves your business more than you. Now, ideally, most of your employees are going to, even your best employees are going to give you somewhere between 90 and that 100%. Now, I'm not saying you don't have somebody on your team who's probably giving you 100%, but majority of really strong team members are going to be working at 90% capacity. They're going to be, because they're going to have some moments where their mind's going to be elsewhere. They're going to, be thinking about something else that might be going on. So our productivity is somewhere between that 90 and 100%. And that's ideally where you would want everybody on your team. If you have a solid, hard performing, great team, you're going to be getting 90 to 100% out of them. All right. Now, when you start having poor employees, what happens is this productivity rate and this, what they're able to produce for you kind of drops down to 75, 80%. Some people can go as low as 50%. They're just really a warm body filling position, and you might even be getting 40% out of them. So you can take and actually write down each of your employees, whether it's 1 or it's 50, you can write down each employee and ask yourself on a scale of 0 to 100%, how much are they really giving you by being on your team? So in our example, we're going to say that, the poor performers on the team are, let's just say the whole team is messing up. They're not the greatest team in the world. We know it. So as a collective whole, when you add up the high performers, low performers, and everybody else, what's happening is they're really giving you 75%. That's really where you're landing at. Well, you have to ask yourself, so what is that impact that 75% productivity rate is really having on the business? So let's kind of take a look at some numbers. Now, let's just say in our fictional business that when they look at their payroll, they grab their profit and loss statement, because now we're all reading our P&Ls, because that's one of the commitments we've all made. They look at their P&L, their profit and loss income statement, whatever it's called in your business. How much money are they spending on payroll? So when they look at the payroll line, it's $40,000. Now, remember, your payroll line is more than just the wages you pay them. You also have the taxes and the other benefits and everything else you do. So in this case, we're going to say that this business is spending about $40,000 a year on their payroll. Now, when they look at their sales, they can figure out what percentage is payroll to their overall sales, right? Because that's why we have percentages on our P&L. And I'm always going to assume that you're doing what it is we've talked about in the past. So if you're looking at your payroll and you're looking at the percentage of sales that it runs, in this particular case, we're going to say that they do $160,000 in sales, which means our $40,000 is 25% of the sales. So for every dollar this company makes, 25% of it, so a quarter out of every dollar, goes towards payroll. All right, so that's a high payroll, but that's actually normal. Some of you guys have a 50% payroll, some of you have a lower payroll, but on average, it's going to be between about 25% for a lot of people. So we're just going to stick with that 25%. Now, remember, our goal is to try to get our employees to 90% or above. But in this case, we've already identified that these people are working at 75%. So we want to figure out what that difference is and how much of it is wasted payroll. Now, for some people, because I'm saying 75%, they're like, well, that's 25% you're wasting. Well, not really, because the goal is to get them over that 90%. So what we want to do is we want to look at the difference between the 75% and the 90%, which means we have 15% of wasted payroll because we're not getting that productivity out of them that we should. So 15% of our payroll is basically out the door because we know we're not getting that out of them. So if we take our $40,000 and we multiply it by 15%, it comes up to $6,000. So in this business, they're throwing away $6,000 worth of profits every year on not addressing these employee problems. Now, I'm going to bet almost every single one of you guys would take $6,000 in profits if I would give it to you. And I'll bet you for some of you, if I gave you that $6,000, you would ironically go out and hire more people or hire more folks. You just need to take care of and upgrade the ones that you have. You're throwing away $6,000 a month in this particular case. Now, let's also take a look at it from a different angle. All right. So let's just say that when we're looking at the number of hours all their employees worked. So let's just say that all those employees combined worked 3,000 hours. Well, if we know 15% is wasted hours, we can figure out how many wasted hours this particular business has. So we take the 3,000 times the 15%, which means they have 450 hours wasted a year. Doesn't that sound crazy? 450 hours wasted a year. Now, let's just say that we each assign how much we expect each employee to make an hour. So it's not so much that they're a salesperson and they should be accomplishing. Every sales hour should have a number attached to it of what you expect them to accomplish and add value to the company. So what we're going to do is we're going to say that each hour that employees in this company is supposed to be working is they should be producing $50 worth of sales. Okay, so it's not profit at this stage. It's just $50 worth of sales for every labor hour that the company spends. So in this case, if we know we're wasting 450 hours and we multiply that by the $50 these people should be making during that time frame, means this business is losing $22,000 worth of sales. It's a little over that. It's 22.5, but they're losing $22,000 worth of sales because of these poor employees only working at 75% rate versus getting them into those 90s. And let's just say the same business, we know if they're losing 22,000 in sales, we should be able to figure out how much other profit that they're losing on top of it. So on top of that, if they make 30% net profit at the end of the day, bottom line, they keep 30 cents out of every dollar. That means that their profit lost is an additional $6,750 of profits that's lost, $6,750. Now, hang on a sec. So think about these numbers. They're already spending on payroll an extra $6,000 worth of lost money, right? So they're throwing away $6,000 of profit because of their poor performance. And because they're poor performing, they're also losing out on the sales side because the employee is not producing at the level that they should be producing, which is an additional $6,700. So overall, this business is losing about $13,000 of potential profits when you put these two numbers together. So can you see how this all adds up? At the end of the day, you can play with your payroll any way you want. You can put numbers to it and measure all kinds of stuff. Just alone in this, we've looked at what they've lost as far as them not working to their full capacity. We were able to figure out how many lost sales that they were costing and what that bottom line profitability is. You can take numbers with your poor performers and you can figure out all kinds of cool, interesting information. You can measure anything. You can figure out the cost of what what a bad hire is costing you, and how much money you've lost. Take your bad hire and then work the numbers backwards, saying, okay, how many hours has this person worked for you? And how much money have you lost just by holding on to this person? Bad hires We have all done them, and guess what? They've cost us money. But what really costs us money isn't so much the cost of the bad hire, it's the fact that we don't deal with the bad hire. It's the ongoing cost. Yes, you have your training costs and what it takes to bring them up to speed, but the fact that you don't deal with them, that actually costs you more money in the long run because you don't train them. Because remember, we're all about training them. You've already hired them. Our first goal is to get them to that 90% productivity rate. We need to train them. We need to coach them. We need to do everything possible to help them to become a success. But if they can't become a success, we need to let them go. We need to promote them back to customer because of that. So you can measure all kinds of fun stuff. All right. And that's what's important because it's really, you kind of need to know these numbers because they're going to motivate you more. A lot of times we have a lot of pain with dealing with people. We have a problem with, confronting them on what it is that they're doing, and we don't address the issues like we should. Sometimes it's that. Sometimes, like I said, it's the fear that we're not going to find anybody to replace them. And something is better than nothing. Well, you know what? That's a bad way of looking at it as well, because that means that you're okay with losing all this money. You're okay with losing $13,000 worth of profits. That the pain of finding another person is greater than losing $13,000. Because that's really how we operate. We go with the lesser pain in the majority of the way. That's why it's important that you know your numbers. And this is why it's important you attach numbers to this, because you need to create the pain that's going to cause you to take the action that you need to take, because this person is costing you business. But wait, it's not over. So you can even continue to add on to this poor performer if you really want, because let's say this poor performer also has a really crappy attitude. Okay. So not only do they have a crappy attitude, they're costing you business because they're ticking off customers. They're creating waste, which is growing your product cost as well. If they're losing you jobs, guess what? All of this adds on top of the entire thing. Let's just say that they're costing you $50 on top of that, right? So let's just say you're losing 5 jobs a week that could have made you $50. So 5 jobs a week times $50 is $250 a week times 50 weeks. That's an additional $12,000 that they're costing you. And at that 30% margin, it's an additional $3,700 in profits. So when you're now putting everything together, these bad hires are costing this company $20,000 of profits. Can you see how it all adds up? This is why it's important, just by doing numbers. It didn't take forever to figure this all out. This is easy stuff to do. This is why it's very important, and I'm on a mission to help you learn to love your numbers. You don't have to learn to love math, but I'm telling you, if you learn to do your numbers and do some basic calculations, nothing I did on here was rocket science. Nothing I did on here was a squared plus b squared equals c squared. None of it was any of that. It was just taking known numbers. You might remember from school, they called them known variables. This is what they were talking about. Known numbers, things you already know, and putting them together to figure out what that ultimate thing is. Okay, so take the hours that they work, times the amount of money they should be making, or what they are losing you, whatever, times your cost. It's going to figure out a number. You already know your profitability. You know what your net income is. You know what your gross margin is, because you've been a student and really diving into these numbers. You can start putting pen to paper and figuring out how much money these poor performing employees are costing you. All right. And if you have yet to hire an employee, these are the things you want to keep in mind. You want to start measuring this from day one. Listen, I will pay an employee $50, $100 an hour. I absolutely will. I think that you should have high paid employees. You need to grow people and you need to get them there. But at the end of the day, this is the way it works. A car will go from A to B. A Volkswagen will get you from point A to point B. A Rolls Royce will get you from point A to point B. A Lamborghini is going to get you from point A to point B. The reason that you're willing to pay the different amounts for each of those cars is everything they give you above and beyond going from A to B. So yes, you need to have a basic pay scale from going from A to B. That is for people coming in doing their job. And then on top of that, every time they add value on top of that, you need to continue to pay them. And if they work from $15 all the way up to $50, I'm going to assume that their return on their value is sky high. You need to continue to that. These are those people, when they get into that 90% to 100% range, especially that 95 to 100, you need to pay them. They're returning your investment in them into something major, and they're getting rewarded rewarded for what it is that they do and the value they offer your company. So please make sure you hear me. I am not saying don't pay people what they're worth. Absolutely. You can do numbers just like we're playing here. You can take numbers and you can figure out how much more that person is giving you in their value and the sales they're adding to your bottom line. Numbers can figure out all kinds of stuff, even on your payroll. So if you walk away with nothing else today, when it comes to this, is start putting some numbers to your payroll. Start figuring out what your employees are giving you for what it is that you're paying them and how you can address those poor performers and why you need to invest the time, energy, and coaching into them to get them up into that 90% range. Because at the end of the day, by knowing our numbers, it makes us better businessmen and women, and we're able to put more profits to the bottom line. I just love our Thursdays together. I love being able to help you grow and appreciate numbers of your business and how it can make you better business folks. And that's what we want to do here. And if you want more, I am trying to start to get back going into some of the videos that we're putting together, as well as I'm working on that course behind the scenes for you to help know your numbers. And I just really want to continue to help you guys. And if you ever have a set of numbers that you are interested in or you think that I should have as a topic of the show that you want to try to dive into a little bit more, feel free, shoot that over to me at Tammy@localsmallbusinesscoach.com. Tammy@localsmallbusinesscoach.com. Go ahead, shoot me an email. I do answer all of them. Sometimes it might take up to 24 hours, but shoot me that email. And if you ever have a great topic or something you want on the show, send it to me. I love hearing from you guys. I might ask you a couple questions about your business just because I'm nosy and I love listening what it is that you guys do. But at minimum, if you've got something you would love for me to break down or share, please shoot that over to me. With that, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye for now. Hey, badass business owner, if you're interested in taking your knowledge to the next level on understanding the numbers of your business, then head on over to knowyourbusinessnumberscourse.com and sign up to be one of the first to get any new items I put together to help you take your skills to the next level. Not only will you get immediate access to any new videos I create, but you'll also get copied on any tools I create to help you get better at understanding your business numbers. Plus, get any updates on the upcoming course, Know Your Business Numbers, where I will be taking a much deeper dive into the numbers that will help you become the badass business owner I know you are. So once again, if you want to keep building the skill, building this business muscle, check out the link in the show notes and head on over to knowyourbusinessnumberscourse.com and sign up now. Don't you think it's time to use your business numbers to earn more profits?